Hello, everyone. The Kentucky Patriot got a great surprise for you. I'm super excited. Got none other than the New York Prepper here with us. And Lord willing, we're going to have a series of videos, short videos talking about different topics, with the grand finale being, of course, prepping. But there's a lot of topics we want to discuss. And make sure you check out his channel. If you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe. Wonderful guy. Not only does he have a great channel, he's a wealth of knowledge. He does a lot of ballistics testing. He's just loves freedom, liberty. Just a wonderful fellow, wonderful friend, wonderful patriot. And he's got different, like, lived different places in the country. Has different experiences, and he's here to share them with you. So I know I talk a lot. I enjoy talking, but this is a very special video where we are going to sit back and pick Mr. New York Prepper's brain, and leave comments if you would. As always, keep them family friendly, but let us know what you'd like for me to ask him, what you'd like to hear from him, because like I said, he's got a lot of experience in firearms and self-defense, and we're going to pick his brain. And Mr. New York Prepper, thank you so much, sir, for taking the time to do this with us.
No problem. I'm looking forward to answering all your questions.
Okay, well, we're just going to jump right into it. I'm just going to start out with concealed carry. I know you're a big concealed carry guy, but what I would like to do, start out, would you just tell us what you carry and why?
Sure. So right now I carry, believe it or not, I carry a 44 Magnum snub nose revolver. And it's just a Smith & Wesson model 629. It's like 2 3/4 inch barrel. So that's basically what I carry. That might change in the future. I don't know yet, but that's what I've been carrying for a while. So that's what I carry. Yep.
And that is EDC, correct?
Correct. EDC on the street, downtown. Yep.
Now, what rounds do you carry in your 44?
I used to carry 44 specials, just because they don't penetrate as much. I used to carry the 200 grain gold dot 44 special loads from Underwood Ammo. They're like 900 feet per second, 200 grain. They're nice big hollow point. I used to carry those, but now I just mostly carry like standard 44 Magnum 240 grain soft points. And I also have some full metal jackets in there as well, just in case I need to penetrate, cover or body armor or something like that. I keep that in there because, we've seen in the last couple of years all these different shootings where the bad guys are starting to wear body armor, and they're starting to get a little bit more advanced in their tactics. So in situations like that, I want ammunition that can penetrate, because just standard, hollow point concealed carry ammo is not going to have much effect if somebody's wearing body armor or if they're hiding behind a wall or something. So you just never know what situation you're in. So I like to throw in some full metal jackets as well, and alternate it with my soft points or hollow points. So that's pretty much what I carry now. But if I live in like a lower population area, so I'm not super worried about over penetration. I don't live in a big city. But if I am going to like a more crowded area, I'll change my ammo and use the 44 special. If I anticipate that there's going to be lots and lots of people around me and big crowds, then I'll go to 44 special for, reduced penetration. But like, if I'm going to Home Depot or something like that, I'm not really worried about over penetration so much,
And in case somebody isn't aware, you no longer live in New York. You actually moved to like you said, a more rural area in a different state, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I used to live in a rural area in New York, but now I live in Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is very gun friendly, very self-defense friendly as well. They have stand your ground, and they have open carry here. Concealed carry permits very easy to get. New York is total opposite. So yeah, it's like a night and day difference. But yes, I left New York for obvious reasons. Obviously it's, living there. I grew up there. I was born there. I've been wanting to leave New York for like 10 years. It was just a matter of being able to do it. It's one thing to want to leave somewhere, but you need to have a job somewhere that, you can't just get up and leave, right? So, the way it worked out with my job, I was able to leave, thank God. So I'm happy I left.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of times people get stereotyped, but there's a lot of patriots that live behind enemy lines in California, in Illinois, in New York. So we always want to keep that in mind. Not everybody in New York and California are communist.
Well, Ronald Reagan was from California. People forget
good
that.
point. He was governor there for a while too. Yeah, good point. Let me ask you this: on your concealed carry, now your revolver, is that a 5 or 6 shot?
It's a 6 shot, yes.
Okay. And then when you say you alternate ammo on, like you said, the full metal jacket, is that like a hard cast or a round nose, or what exactly round are you talking about?
It's a 245 grain full metal jacket for 44 Magnum. So it's I alternate. One cylinder has either a soft point or hollow point, and another cylinder has the full metal jacket. It's just like a standard full metal jacket you would have for a 9mm. It's just for 44 Magnum. So it's a thin copper jacket. It's a flat nose. You can also use it for bear defense too, or animal defense, because it's got good penetration. But yeah, so I alternate the cylinders, but the hammer would always fall. First shot would always be the hollow point, and then after that it alternates.
Gotcha. And you said it was all Underwood. Is it all Underwood, or do you alternate manufacturer brands as well?
Most of my stuff is Underwood, but I do have Hornady 240 grain hollow points XTP. And all those rounds I tested a lot, ballistics. I've done lots of tests with it, so I know that it's reliable. I've shot it, hundreds of rounds. I know that it's going to work and it's going to do the job.
And let me ask you this: on the Hornady, the FTX, what is the FTX tip? Is that what you said? Is that like the red ballistic tip, or is there another kind of tip?
It's XTP.
Oh, XTP. Okay.
Yeah, you probably know them. That's just their handgun bullets they have. They're just like, it's just like a hollow point, basically.
Okay, it doesn't have that little red tip in it?
No, that one doesn't. They do have the FTX. Those are the flex tips. That's for like the lever evolution. That's for their lever actions.
Okay, because I know like in my 9mm and 40, they have that little red tip. But now in the 454 Casull that I have, the big bore revolver, it does not have that tip. I guess they figure they got enough velocity that they're not going to need. It's probably the same thing with the 44. It's probably going fast enough where they, did not include that tip. And there's a lot of ammo I like, but Hornady always usually performs really well with expansion.
Yes, yeah, I'd never had any issues with them.
Now, with your revolver, where do you carry that? Do you carry it inside the waistband, or do you open carry it? What's your, I know it may vary some, and if so, let us know. But in general, when you go out of the house, whether it's to the mall or work or what have you, how do you carry your revolver?
Usually, I would say most of the time, believe it or not, I carry it in a fanny pack, just because, 44 Magnum, even in a snub nose, is it's not easy to conceal, even for a bigger guy. It prints a little bit. So for me, it's just easier for me to throw it in a fanny pack. Also, it's easy for me to put it on. It takes out a lot of the hassle of every time I need to get out of the house, I have to make sure I have my, steel core belt on and throw the holster on. It takes an extra 5 minutes or so. With a fanny pack, I can just throw it around my waist and I'm good to go. I have my spare reloads in there, a flashlight. And even in the summertime, because in the summertime, I like to wear like gym shorts even when I go out, because I get hot real easy. So in the summertime or the winter, it's good for both seasons. I don't need like a belly band or anything like that. You know what I mean? So that I kind of just got used to doing it that way because it's easier. It's easier to just put it on, take it off, and I'll literally just leave my pistol in there like all day and all night, So When it comes time to go out of the house, I'll pick up my fanny pack, snap it around my waist, and everything is in there. I'll just throw the rounds in the cylinder and I'm good to go. I don't have to mess around with putting a holster on a belt or anything like that, you know.
You may have touched on my next question, but now, did you say you have a extra cylinder in the fanny pack too? You have
I
extra
carry,
rounds?
yeah, I carry speed loaders.
Okay.
I carry speed loaders. I have 3 spare speed loaders in there. So plus the cylinder is full. So that's 6 times 4, 24 rounds. You know, for me personally, that's good enough. 24 rounds of 44.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. 24 rounds of 44. That's a pretty good payday for an everyday carry.
Yeah.
On your fanny pack now, how is the accessibility? Is it a zipper or a button, or how do you actually access your firearm?
It's literally just a zipper. It's a 511 fanny pack, and it just has a zipper, and it has like a little tab on the zipper that sticks out so you can easily grab it. You know, you can feel it, you can index it. And I just grab it with my weak hand, my left hand. I feel the zipper, just zip it over to the left, and I'll reach in and just grab the pistol out. It's pretty quick. It's just something I'm used to, you know. Maybe that'll change in the future. I mean, the reason I've been carrying a 44 Magnum for so long is because of it's more for financial reasons. You know, I got a 44 Magnum. It was one of my first handguns because of the versatility. I knew I could use it for hunting, I could use it for bear defense, and with 44 specials, I could use it in town. So it's like very versatile, you know, versus having, let's say, one gun for bear defense, one gun for urban carry. You know, then you have to like spend money on all these different guns. So I figured just get one gun and be done with it. And that's kind of why I carry it. It's not because I'm trying to, you know, be a big macho tough guy or anything like that. It's just for financial reasons. It was easier for me to just have one gun that can do it all, you know.
Yeah, but
So
still, there's some coolness factor to sitting around the table and everybody that's carrying 9mm and 40 and 38, and then you're the guy at the 44 Magnum. I mean, there's some coolness factor there, man. There is. There's totally some macho man there. That's awesome.
I mean,
but
yeah.
real quick, I also carried a small frame revolver for a while, but it was only 357 Magnums, what I carried. And I had a little bit of this, and I'm sure some other folks, especially if they're looking to carry a shorter barrel revolver, is accuracy. Now, how do you deal with accuracy? And I totally understand that 99.99999% of EDC involved, you know, self-defense is very close, basically belly gun. But if there is a time where you do have to maybe reach out there a little bit, do you just naturally shoot a revolver, a snub nose well, or is that something you've had to practice, or what did you do, and what advice would you give others maybe that carries a shorter barrel revolver as far as longer range and accuracy?
Honestly, I never had any issues with it. You know, a lot of people say that the sight radius is too short and it's hard to be accurate. If you do the right thing, if you follow the 7 fundamentals of marksmanship, I have no problem hitting like apple-sized groups at 25 yards. You know, I've never had any issues. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying. Obviously, I've been shooting a lot, so if it's like your first handgun, I definitely don't recommend a snub nose Magnum revolver. You know, but I've been shooting handguns a while, so. You know, I already knew a lot of the stuff, you know, that you need to know to be a good shooter. So for me, there wasn't much of a learning curve. But obviously, flinching is a big problem with Magnum revolvers. You know, flinching is probably the biggest thing. And then also, a lot of people that are used to shooting semi-autos, it's completely different when you're shooting a semi-auto to a revolver. I mean, the trigger poundage is like 3 times as high. It's just much different. So you have to, if you're used to shooting semi-autos, you definitely have to spend enough time, you know, at the range with your revolver just to get used to the higher trigger pull, the poundage. It's also a longer trigger pull. You know, you have to pull all the way back if you're going to be doing double action. So it's just something you got to get used to. Dry firing helped me a lot when I always dry fire all my firearms, but especially my revolvers. I dry fire them a lot more just because of that long trigger squeeze and the high poundage. Um, you definitely want to practice that a lot because it's one of those things that's perishable and a lot more perishable than a semi-auto that has a 4-pound trigger break. You're trying to squeeze a trigger that's 14 pounds, and you don't have a shoulder stock to put it up against your shoulder. So dry firing helps me a lot. I do that every week, as much as possible. Dry firing, I highly recommend dry firing, and just focusing on the 7 fundamentals. These days people are so focused on speed, and everything has to be quick and tactical, but just focus on getting the 7 fundamentals proper before you worry about the speed. Get your accuracy first before you get the speed. So dry fire, yeah.
Great.
So yeah, dry fire and 7 fundamentals. Just practice your 7 fundamentals of marksmanship and dry fire. That would be the biggest tips that I have for people. And just spend time at the range, get used to the trigger squeeze, because it is a lot different. Different grips too. When you're gripping a revolver, it's a lot different than a semi-automatic, obviously. But practice makes perfect. So.
No, and I know you will be, but just we want you to be as honest as you can, because I will be honest. That is the big reason that I got rid of the EDC with the 357 Magnum. Now it's not the cartridge, because my grandpa, and he was a revolver man, 357. I mean, like my, a Glock or my M&Ps, he said he wouldn't have guns like that. He said those wasn't guns. He was a revolver man through and through. He used 357 for his EDC, for his home defense, or whatever the case may be. He was a 357 man. So I cut my teeth, on 357 Magnum. But I will be honest. I had the little tiny, I don't know if it was air weight, but it was like one of those little, but it was Taurus. It was a little tiny. It was only a 5-shot. And I could literally stick it in my pocket and it would disappear. That thing was tiny, but the recoil was brutal. Now I could shoot my grandpa's Ruger with big, I can't remember if it was a Black Hawk, I think it was, and you could shoot it all day. So it's not the round, it was the gun, and it being a snub nose and it being lightweight, the recoil was brutal, and follow up shots, and it was a tough to handle. So I know there's a lot of people that's going to be asking this very question. Not that we couldn't handle a round or 2 or 3 at the range. And I've shot 500 Smith and Wesson, 454, because I've shot a lot of big revolvers, but a lot of times when you reduce the weight and you reduce the barrel and you reduce the size, how is that far as recoil if you need to do follow-up shots, or how would it be for, if you had to go and shoot, because a lot of people, if they're going to use that for EDC, they do need to practice. So how would that be at the range as far as felt recoil and your hand, and what would you recommend, and what is your advice and how does it feel for you, honest, as
sure.
You're used to shooting, but still, what's your thoughts and concepts on that?
Well, first thing I recommend is, if you do have any kind of Magnum revolver, switch out the grips to Hogue grips. I don't know if you heard the company Hogue. You probably have. Get a pair of Hogue grips. They're like $20, and that, just doing that will eliminate a lot of the pain. Because if you have like a 357 Magnum with wood grips, 357 Magnums, I've shot them, that many of them are more painful to shoot than my 44 or my 500, because the 357 Magnums are lighter, the frame is smaller, so they're more snappy, and they can actually be more painful than a 44 or 454, because those are heavier, the frame is heavier, and it's more of like a push rather than a snap. But get rid of the wooden grips, any kind of, it should be a soft rubber grip. That's number one. And yeah, of course, you're shooting a Magnum revolver. It's a completely different skill set than a 9mm Glock. It's totally different. So you just have to be aware that they're 2 separate animals. It's like baseball and basketball, different skills, different uses. different limitations. I know that my revolver has limitations. I know that I'm not going to get super fast follow-up shots. I know the reloading is going to be slower. I'm aware of that. But I don't anticipate needing to reload. If I have to shoot a target more than 6 times with a 44 Magnum, I'm either, I don't want to be in that kind of situation. So
Yeah, I mean, the thing of it is, and that's a very good point about the grips. It really is. But I've shot 44 Magnum, but now I don't want to say this. And somebody says, "No, you're lying because you shot it with me 10 years ago." I may have shot a snub nose revolver that's a 44 Magnum, but if I have, I don't remember. As far as my memory serves me, I've never shot a short barrel 44 Magnum. So you enlightening me. See, I learn a lot too. But the second point I really like that you make, follow-up shots are very important. If you do have arthritis or you do have some issues where you're using a 22 LR, follow-up shots are very important. But follow-up shots aren't as important with a 44 Magnum. And I will say this, even if a 44 Magnum does not penetrate body armor, I think it's going to really shock somebody's system, because we actually had some bulletproof glass that we'd shot with Kentucky Ballistics and Buffalo's Outdoors. And the 44 Magnum, it was rated for up to 44 Magnum, and the 44 Magnum did not penetrate that glass. But I'm telling you, it thumped that glass. So even though it didn't penetrate, somebody's sure going to know that you've been there if you shot them with a 44 Magnum. If it doesn't penetrate, it's sure going to it's going to slow them down, I think. So yeah, I don't think follow-up shots would be near as important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, just the energy, the impact. Yeah, even if they're wearing body armor or whatever. Yeah, I think that this is a separate topic altogether, but I think that, these days the culture of shooting has changed a lot. If you go back like 20, 30, 40 years ago, like our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, everything was focused on accuracy and good fundamentals. And now I feel like we've gotten away from that and we're so focused on speed and capacity. And, if you have good accuracy, if you can get really the first 2 shots are the most important, in any situation, whether you're hunting, whether it's bear defense, whether it's self-defense against 2-legged predators, first 2 shots are critical, not the 6th shot, not the 7th shot, not the 30th shot, So I train myself to make sure that it's the first shot or 2 that get where they need to be, and I can get it out of my holster quick and get it on target quick. And as long as you train yourself for that, practice drawing from your holster a lot, whatever it is, whether it's a fanny pack or outside the waistband, inside the waistband, practice drawing from the holster, practice at the range, making, get it out of the holster and put it on target, and practice the whole thing and try to get it in a reasonable amount of time. You don't have to be Jerry Michalak, but get it in a reasonable amount of time. I think as long as you practice that, you'll be good to go. I'm not anti semi-autos. It's just that's what I've been used to shooting for so many years. I'm comfortable with it. I like the simplicity of a revolver for concealed carry. There's no safeties, and also the high trigger poundage is a safety mechanism in and of itself, because it's such a heavy trigger. It's not easy to just squeeze it off, like a Glock trigger. So for me, it's the simplicity, and that's just what I'm used to. Maybe in the future that'll change, but yeah.
Well, that's why I appreciate you coming on so much, because there is no, regardless of what anybody says, there is no perfect gun, there is no perfect caliber, there is no perfect, I mean, everybody's different, and what works best for you may not work best for the next person, or vice versa. So that's why I knew you loved revolvers. I knew you had different experiences, and we're going to get into more of your experiences and where you live and different things. But I appreciate it so much, and I glean from people like you. I absolutely love your channel. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
I want to make sure please, guys, I don't ever ask you all for anything. I don't have a Patreon. I don't ask for anything. But will you please, if you don't already know who this is and you're not subscribed to NYprepper, would you do me a favor? Would you go over and like, share, and subscribe? And it's a win-win situation. You'll enjoy it. It'll help him. Super great guy, a wealth of knowledge. And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you coming on and telling us about your EDC, your ammo, your revolvers, and what you do and why, and answering all these questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add or conclude or fill us in with some final thoughts?
Yeah, I would just like to make the case for Magnum revolvers for concealed carry because nowadays everything is going towards the lighter cartridges and the 9mm and stuff like that, 380s. But we've seen a lot of police shooting videos where many times it would take 5-6 shots with the 9mm to put the bad guy down, and those are all good shots in the center mass area. So like you never know who you're dealing with. It's always better to have a little bit more power than a little bit less. And yeah, it's a little more recoil and it's slower follow-up shots, but it's nice to have a little bit more power. I feel more comfortable having something that I know can put a bad guy down quick, rather than needing 5, 6, 7 shots, and you just don't know. Some of these guys, they're on different drugs, and you could shoot them once, twice, they don't even feel it. I mean, we've seen the videos, body cam footage. So you want something that's just going to completely, this sounds gruesome, but you want something that's going to basically annihilate the vitals of your enemy. You don't want something that's going to barely do the job. You want something that's going to really do the job. So that's where I think Magnum revolvers are great.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. If it was feasible for me, I'd carry a shotgun with a slug. I really would. I totally get what you're saying. You don't want to slow them down where they're able to stab you and hurt you. And I
Right.
agree to your point I mean, the thing of it is a Magnum revolver, it isn't the same. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I do carry 9mm some. I do carry 40 a lot, but and I know bullet technology has advanced, and people say, well, 9mm is just as powerful. It's not. It's not even in the same ballpark. And I usually don't engage with I try to have a conversation with people, but when people say stuff like that, I don't even engage because I don't care how much you like your 9mm, and I carry a semi-automatic. Like I said, I carry 9 and 40. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but if you
Right.
think that your 9mm is anywhere in the ballpark of a Magnum revolver, it's not. It's not. People like, well, bullet technology, it's just as powerful with this plus P. It's not. It's not. In general, people survive 9mm. In general, people do not survive 44 Magnum. In the story, I mean, so now, like you said, there is some pros and cons, the capacity, recoil, but that's why I appreciate you coming on, and I'm glad to have another perspective, somebody else that does things different. If we all were alike, we'd never learn anything from anybody. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing your
Mhm.
knowledge, just being such a great guy, having such a great channel. I
Thanks.
know you work really hard at your channel. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the videos in this series. And you guys out there in YouTube land, leave us a comment. Is there something you'd like for me to ask? Is there something that you'd like to hear from him? If there's something we didn't cover, you want to pick his brain, he's a super nice guy. He'll help you in any way he can. And good Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise, me and New York Prepper are planning a range day. So we have a lot of tricks up our sleeve. We've got everything. We don't want to spoil the party, but we've got bowling pins, we've got tannerite, we've got some fruit on the menu, some things we're going to shoot. Anything you would like for us to do within reason on a video, we will be happy to take any suggestions or comments. Please leave that also in the comments below, and I will leave a link to his channel. Anything else, Mr. New York Prepper?
No, that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot for having me. I really
Well,
appreciate it.
I can't thank you enough for being on. I really do appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to the rest of these series. Again, we'll try to end it with his forte of prepping. Of course, this is all his forte, and then hopefully this spring, Lord willing, when the weather warms up, we will have a range day, range video. So we're looking forward to that too. So stay tuned for the next video and the next in this series with Mr. New York Prepper, the Kentucky Patriot, signing off.